Hello and welcome back. This could be one of the shortest videos I ever record. Partially because it's starting to rain, and also because I feel like I have nothing to say. Had the urge to make a video. An idea did just come in now after I said that. The idea of consistency when it comes to new habits, creating any kind of change in your life, and anything that you do in this 3D realm. If you're looking to become successful in the material world, it takes consistency, a fine balance as well between how much energy you have to put into a project, and also the importance of doing a little something every day. For me, this didn't start by doing things every day externally, not manifesting anything physical, but it started with a lot of practices. For me, I started practicing Reiki at the very earliest stage of my spiritual awakening, the same day actually, and throughout the courses which I'm still taking now, there's always practices that you have to do. For example, every 10 minutes, for example, of every hour, or the first 10 minutes of every hour, you may have to repeat a mantra, or you may have to do some type of inner spiritual practice. And what this did for me is it created a habit of regaining the use of my mind as a tool that I can use for manifestation, for change, as opposed to the mind using me and having the mind wander freely. Free range, free roam. Free range is good for chickens, but for when it comes to your mind, it's not what you want. When you give your mind free range, free roam, it tends to fall into this cycle of abuse to its user. And I found that for me to be able to commit to anything in the physical world, long term, to have it feel as though it's not a chore. This is the key for me here, from my experience, so that I don't feel as though it's a chore. I've had to create a bit of space in my inner being, in the mind. I had to create a space where the mind had gotten used to committing a certain amount of time to certain spiritual practices on a daily basis. And what I found for me is that the more I committed more often, or the longer amount of time that I was able to commit these small practices throughout the day, 2 or 3 years of doing this continually, I found that inside my mind there is a gap, a space where I could fill it with things like this, for example, standing in front of the video camera here and recording a video. It's been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, actually, is make videos, just record videos, share my thoughts. It's something I always enjoy. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did now, but it's something I always wanted to do. And that's the point that I'm trying to make with this video, is that in life there's going to be a lot of things that you want to try, a lot of things that you want to do, a lot of things you'd like to manifest in the world for you, but for some reason there seems to be not enough time, you might say. There seems to be a part of you that's working against you, that you may blame on the external world. You may say there's not enough time, but in reality, it's that you don't use your time wisely. And when you are not working, when you have no other external commitments, You give your mind free roam, free range to do whatever it wants to do. And you believe that's who you are. You believe that that's resting, just letting the mind go and wander off. Did you know that a lot of mind activity, worry and stress and thinking can burn as much energy as digging, as much energy in 15 minutes as digging a hole for an hour? So by letting your mind just roam freely like that and just do what it wants, you're actually burning, you're consuming a lot of the energy that you could use for other things in your life. So when you build the habit of making small inner practices, dedicating some space, some time inside your mind to where you're not letting it roam, but instead you can guide the mind, it then becomes useful. Then you become more of a master to the mind as opposed to the mind controlling you. And I've found as well that there's a fine balance between reining in the thoughts and trying to control them and how much space they need for themselves itself as well. I found that trying too much doesn't help. Is actually counterproductive, and also not trying enough is counterproductive. So little exercises like once every 3 hours asking yourself, is my attitude conducive to the changes I'd like, to me being me? The attitude that's in my mind right now, is it conducive? Is it going to help me become who I am, who I really want to be in life, who I know myself to be? And just committing a small amount of time throughout the day, every day. And I found that it's a good idea to give yourself an end date. For me, it seems to help me quite a bit to know that I don't have to commit to this forever. So maybe 6 weeks, every 3 hours, you commit 2 minutes to watching the breath. And you might start with that. And then you give yourself a 2-week rest period, a 3 or 4 week rest period. And then you jump back into another type of practice. There's a book called, which I found actually very helpful in this way. Can be quite demanding though if you're new to this sort of thing. A Course in Miracles. This book has about 700 pages of text that you read through at the beginning to kind of get you into the right state of mind and understand what certain words mean and according to the course. It is an actual course too. And then after the pages, 700 pages, there's a full year's worth of practices. I've been doing Reiki, as like I mentioned from the beginning, and I got to about 6 months worth of those courses, the Course in Miracles myself. And I stopped doing it because at the end I seen that Reiki and this was the same. It was doing the same for me, and I had already previously committed to Reiki. And you hear often in spiritual circles teachings that once you find a path that works for you, you don't want to diverge too much from that path. It's more beneficial to stick with one all the way through to the end. You'll go deeper that way as opposed to just trying a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I decided to drop A Course in Miracles. I may finish it one day, but I found Reiki to be more my calling. So yeah, this video is basically to help give you some simple tools, a simple, easy method, and also to understand that when it comes to manifestation, you don't need to start manifesting physically immediately. It can take you years, months, years, maybe not, maybe more, for you before you can regain some inner space inside your mind so that you can rededicate that new space you've gained into an activity that you want to achieve in your life. It's like you can think of your mind as a dog. And this is a very, very good analogy. When you first get a dog, if you just let it be and you don't train your dog, it might chew your clothes, your shoes, it might destroy the furniture, it might pee and poo on the floor, pee and poo, it might shit on the floor. You see what I mean? And your mind is very much the same way. And because we're not taught how to do this in our life, in school, through our parents, through society, we're not taught how to rein in the mind, basically how to put a leash on it. Okay? We're not taught how to train the mind. It dominates our lives, our habits, stuff like guilt, overeating, which I'm still struggling with. I'm gradually getting it, but we'll see. That's a whole other story. But I've been applying this stuff into a lot of other areas of my life. I quit smoking weed, wasting time watching television. A lot of the negative habits I've regained by doing this method for myself. And in the same way that you wouldn't want to have your dog always on a leash, right? This is why it's such a good analogy when you're talking about training your mind to be able to use it productively in your life. When you compare to how you would train a dog, if your dog is always on a leash, he's probably not going to be very happy. You see, so there's going to be some resentment, he's going to not like you as much. Do you see what I mean? And in the same way, if you're demanding too much of your mind, it's going to kind of react the same way a dog would. It really is. I've seen this in myself. If you dedicate enough time to becoming the watcher and exploring your own inner space, you're going to see this for yourself as well. So start small. If you're the type of person like me, if you have a hard time starting new habits that you'd like to keep doing for the rest of your life, I garden now every day. I've got tons of plants in the house. I always wanted to grow plants, film videos, exercise. There's a lot of things I always wanted to commit to. If you're like me, if you always start stuff but end up stopping, start and stop, and you could never seem to get a hold of anything in your life in this way, then start by clearing a space in your mind first. Okay? You'll find lots and lots and lots of ideas reading some spiritual texts. A lot of Buddhism, Taoism, these sort of practices, these sort of teachings give you a lot of little practices you can do. Again, as I mentioned earlier, A Course in Miracles, meditating, just dedicating a small amount of time in a consistent manner for a period of time, maybe 3 months, and then a rest after 3 months. And then after that, you go into something new, and then you rest, and you keep building and creating that space. And eventually what happens? You don't feel as though you're working anymore. None of this feels like a chore. It just feels natural for you to do it. I do the dishes now much more consistently. I clean the house more. It's had a snowball effect into all of the aspects of my life that I once used to find was a chore. I find now I have so much more energy for, and nothing feels like work anymore. It doesn't feel like, oh, I don't want to do this. So it completely changes you in something so simple as, and here's a really good idea, something that's so simple. You commit every 3 hours, 5 minutes, or even just 3 minutes, could be 2 minutes, it doesn't matter the length of time as long as you're committing something, every 3 hours to watching your breath. You can watch your breath while you're reading a book, you can watch your breath while you're driving a car, you can watch your breath while you do anything in your life. So this doesn't take anything from what you're already doing, and that's the beauty. You're clearing your inner space while it doesn't interrupt anything you enjoy in your life already. And that's very important. This one needs to be done in a very relaxed manner, very easygoing. You want to take your time with this stuff, okay?
Love you.
Love you too. My girlfriend. And that's the key. It needs to be relaxed. It needs to feel easy. It needs to be consistent. And you have to expect that you're probably going to need to modify it as you go. For you, maybe every 3 hours might be too much. You might go to, twice a day. Okay? Find the balance that works for you where you are in your life right now. Create that consistency. Give yourself breaks as well. All right? Set a start date and an end date and a break in between each new. Okay? So those are the keys that'll really help you, that'll help me, that is helpful for any human being when it comes to creating some inner space and regaining some control again over your mind. It's not about control, but it's about regaining what it has from you. Okay, becoming a manifester in this world. Achieving your goals in the physical world. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch these videos, but more than that, I appreciate the time that you take for yourself, and that's really what this is about. So I appreciate you looking after you. Peace.